Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Paint With Me Live. I always get them tangled up, or lately I've been getting them tangled up, but this week we're working in Paint With Me Live this Sunday. Hope you guys are having a great Sunday afternoon. I hope that you guys are making some big wins this week and just enjoying yourself. My name is Brittany Lewis. I am a professional graphic designer and illustrator, and Sundays is the day that I work on my dream project, the Cosmic Gateway Tarot. So this Sunday is no exception to that. We're going to be working on the Five of Cups from this project. This is one that we left off last Sunday working on the vase, so we're just going to pick right back up with that. In the meantime, if you would like to support myself, this channel, if you would like to support the art that I create, if you would like to help me get to my goal of 1,000 subscribers, there are a couple of things that you can do to do that. First of all, make sure that you hit the like button. That helps me out so much. And also be sure to hit the subscribe button if you have not already. So we're not going to be here very long. I know that we have Super Bowl. A lot of people are looking forward to that. I personally don't watch football, but I am looking forward to the halftime show because I'm really excited to see how Bad Bunny performs. So, and I'm rooting for him for sure. So we'll be getting to that pretty soon. We'll be getting done with this pretty quickly, and so that you guys can enjoy the Super Bowl. But I'm glad that you are here with me, whether you're watching this live or the replay. Let me know how you're doing, where you are, where you're watching from, and chat with me. I'm here with you. So again, we left off on this card with the vase, so we're just going to pick back up there. I don't have a whole lot to go over today. I don't know why I've been kind of I don't know, not scattered, but just kind of feeling a little indifferent today about a lot of things. So we're just gonna play it by ear, see what we can create and get done, and then we'll move on. So this card, for those of you who are new here, is again the Five of Cups for my project, the Cosmic Gateways Tarot. This card is a card of grief. This card is a card of loss or perceived loss. Hey TN lady, I'm so happy to see you. This card is a card of perceived loss, grief, mourning, all of those things. This card illustrates a young woman who has spilled 3 cups, and she is sort of wholly focused on those 3 cups. But I have the scene set up in a way that if she is to stand up, she would see that she has access to all kinds of treasures, 2 more cups, and on top of that, as well as some symbols of fertility and fortune, or good fortune, I should say, blessings, all of those things she has access to, but all she has to do is stand up. So for you guys who are watching me in the horizontal panel, because I am streaming both in the shorts feed as well as the regular live stream feed, I'll show you what the original card looks like. So this if you're watching it horizontally. If not, I would encourage clicking on my profile picture, and I think that'll take you to my channel so that you guys can see the camera and see everything else that's happening on the screen. But for those of you who can see it, this is the original Five of Cups from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, which is what this tarot deck is modeled after. Now, I am not interested in creating a clone deck, so a lot of the images will be very different from the traditional imagery. However, there's going to be some overlap. Again, this is a card of mourning, so when I went into planning this card, I wanted to make sure that I did it in a way that was a slightly different story, right? So it has slightly different implications and things like that. You can actually see the face of our character, as well as her posture, her spilled cups, and then we can see a little more clearly what she has access to, as opposed to the original card, which shows it sort of in the background, implying that there is a path that they can take to get there. To get to more cups, to more fortune, to community, and all of that, if they just kind of turn around and change their point of view. So I wanted to take a slightly different take on that by creating an actual scene, and really all she has to do is take one step up, right, or one step forward, so that she can kind of see what's happening for her, or what's available for her, I should say. So again, I hope y'all are having a good week. We are finally thawed out for the most part. We've been snowed in for the last 2 weeks. I think this past Tuesday, I was able to get out. It was still the interstate and stuff was very clear, but like the streets still had like piles and piles of ice, and so you had to be very careful and only travel in certain lanes. But I think maybe 2 days later, or maybe a day or so later, we were up into like the 60s temperature. So Memphis weather is pretty erratic, but I'm glad to have that over with. I'm glad that we're able to sort of move around, and I think I'm not the only one, because I went grocery shopping, I think either yesterday or the day before, and I think it was the day before, and everybody and their mama was outside. It was like people were itching to get outside. and to sort of get the sun, or get some sun, I should say. And so that was really, really interesting. I had some pretty major wins as well. I actually updated my computer. I didn't get a new computer, but I made some updates to it. So I'm really curious. This is the first time that I'm streaming since updating it. So I'm kind of curious to see how well it handles. Typically when I stream, I do have a little bit of a lag, which I'm experiencing now, right? But I'm just kind of curious to see how that works out. So I've had to make like some updates. One of the reasons why we were late today is because I had updated the system and like went through a whole set of processes and things like that, so that I could use the computer. I'm having to do one now, for example. So right now, my stylus pen, which is what I use to draw on my tablet, is not working. So I'm having to change, do some tweaks behind the scenes. So it's a little bit of a work in progress. I think I saw a video recently with Erykah Badu. I don't know how old this particular video was, but she said something that I think resonated with me pretty deeply. Sometimes we can ask the universe for things like patience and opportunities, and then we'll be thrown into situations that will challenge us to be patient, right? So as I'm sitting here talking to you guys, I'm also reading the prompt on my screen so I can get this thing working, so we can get on to I was gonna say Zoom and Child because I'm looking at Zoom, but we can get on to drawing. So let me see, 1 second. It says enable the tablet. So yeah, patience, right? So that's something that I have had to work on, and I am glad that I am able to. I am not seeing what I'm looking for here, so let's go to privacy. So yeah, updated my computer, which was a win. So I'm just kind of working out kinks and things like that. I'm again real curious to see how this works in terms of being able to stream and have a whole bunch of things going at the same time. There were 2 things I needed to change on the computer, so this is just one of the 2. So I'm really excited about that. Excited to see how that goes. All right, let's see. There we go. Crisis averted. Right? That's just kind of how it goes. Sometimes life will throw you curveballs, but we have to remember the things that we ask for. I asked for patience, and now I am thrown into a situation where I have to exercise the things that I asked for. That's how it goes, right? So we're back on this vase. This is pretty fun. So what I did with this particular vase is I tried to draw the honeycombs as close to the reference as I possibly could. But again, I'm never really reaching for perfection. I just want to make sure I take a lot of the guesswork out of any of the things that I'm drawing. So whenever I do set up a sketch or things like that, I try to add as much detail as I can so that I'm not spending a whole lot of time trying to work out kinks like as I'm working through the color. By the time I get to the rendering stage, which is when I'm adding color, I just want to be able to color. Right? I just want to sit down, have a real calm time, sitting at the computer and things like that, and color. So a lot of my sketches are very detailed. I do not work with line art. It's just a personal preference. I like the way that my art looks without it. There are instances where I have worked with it. For instance, I have a set of witches that I did a coven for, or like a collection, call it the coven. And it has line art or line work to it, but the style that it's created in kind of lends itself to line art. But as well as far as painting and things like that, whenever I do portraits, whenever I do these kinds of scenes, I'm not a line artist, right? I don't feel it necessary for the style that I'm trying to achieve, and I just kind of like how my pictures come out. I tend to aim for painterly when it comes to my illustrations. I want it to look like someone did it. I think a lot of times digital art kind of gets a bad rap, and lately it's been kind of lumped in with AI art, which is crazy, but I think it kind of comes down to people not really understanding what exactly is happening. And so I like that my art has brush strokes, right? It has texture. We can kind of see that something made it, right? Or someone made it, I should say. So that is typically what I aim for when I am going for doing illustrations. And of course, sharing the process and all of what it takes to do a digital illustration, I think helps me out a whole bunch as well. So I've been talking about this for a while now, itching to do some traditional works. I've been making progress on that as well this week. So I am going to be planning for painting. Now this painting is going to be a 24 by 36 inch canvas painting, right? So what I am doing or working on is sharing with you how I go about planning it. Now, a lot of the paintings that I've done in the past are typically like fan art, either fan art paintings, like if you go to this channel, there's a painting of, I think the last one I did was Bruce Lee, and then there are some others, but they're either fan art or they're like portraits that people hire me to create. So I have not worked on like an original piece in a very, very long time. I have a few hanging in my house. I have one that my husband had framed for me that I did in college, and I have a few just kind of odds and ends here and there, but I haven't really worked on an original painting. Now, of course, the Cosmic Gateways Tarot is just a bunch of original illustrations, but in terms of like a traditional acrylic on canvas painting, I have not done that in a very, very long time. So aside from the marker video that I'm working on that I mentioned to you guys last week, I'm also going to be showing you how I actually plan for a painting, because there are a few things that I would like to kind of figure out. I'm going to be taking similar steps to the way that I plan my tarot cards. The tarot is a little bit easier because I am again working with someone else's ideas, because I am modeling this after the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. But when it comes to this particular painting, I only have I can see it, like in my mind I have a baseline idea of it, but there are some things that I have to kind of figure out before I get to like stretching canvas and like drawing and getting the colors ready and all of that. So I'm going to be sharing with you how I process that, or how I go through that process. It pretty much comes down to me taking the idea in my mind. I've already sketched it. What I do is I keep these little index cards with me. So I've already sketched it on a little index card. So I keep these around my house, right? Because ideas and things will come up out of nowhere. So I keep these around my house. So when I got the initial idea, I did do a preliminary sort of sketch of what I was seeing in my mind so that I can come back to it later. So I do have a sketch that in that realm ready. However, when it comes to creating a completely like full piece, I have to figure out my color palette. I have to figure out like the mood, which will dictate the colors. So do I want it to feel earthy? Do I want it to feel very relaxed and connected? Do I want it to feel vibrant and loud? And so what I'll be showing you guys in a video coming in the next couple of weeks or so, because I'm sort of filming everything in parts, is how I go through sort of planning an actual traditional painting. Right? So we'll go through the thumbnailing process, which is something that we do when I plan out the Cosmic Gateways Tarot. I will show you how I do color studies. So once I know where my subjects are going to be placed on the canvas, what I'll then do is say, okay, let me try out these colors for the background. Let me try out these colors for the skin tone and whatever else is on this particular image, right? And so we'll go through it. Hey, Black Zetsu, come on through. I'm real happy to see you. Go ahead. So so I'm going to show you guys how that works. I also have to figure out what I want to do about the background. So because I just know two main elements in this particular picture that I would like to include, I need to figure out, do I include greenery? Do I do a background? Do I kind of keep it plain? And so all of that will be kind of worked out in the thumbnailing session. And then from there, I'll pick the thumbnail that I like the best. And then I'll draw that, and that'll become the composition for my next drawing, or for the painting itself. So the thing that I'll draw on the canvas. So I'm very excited about that. I've been, again, just really having a good time with creativity here lately. Now this Saturday we went to a photography club. Y'all hear me talk about photography club quite often. It is something I thoroughly enjoy. Now, again, I'm not no photographer. Like, I do it as a hobby. I guess I could call myself that, but it's just something I enjoy doing. I have so many pictures of like my son and my family and things like that. And I remember in college, I would take photos for my references. So anytime I would want to like paint or draw something, just kind of playing around with it. I bought my film camera like 15 years ago. It is I think it's from the 70s. It's an 81 program. I got stocks of film, put up. So it's just something that I enjoy hobby wise, but it's not something that I feel like I'm a serious photographer for. However, once I went to, I've been going to photography club here about once a month or so they'll have sessions and things like that, and I just find it so much fun, right? It's nice to see people enjoy something together. It's really, really nice to see people who look like you, right, who also enjoy the same hobbies, and we all have very different backgrounds and we all have very different experience levels, and so I was able to enjoy that yesterday. That was so much fun, and it was motivating, right? So again, you'll hear me talk about motivation being very fleeting. It is something that you can't really depend on, but there are times when you feel very motivated and very inspired by whatever you're experiencing. And so yesterday's class was all about filmmaking. So the person who runs the program and creates all of the sort of classes that we take, each club, the meeting that we have for photography club, she also makes films, right? So she's a film producer, and she works with Indie Memphis, which is a huge film scene here in Memphis. And so it was really, really interesting to see her break down film scenes, right, and to learn about what a director does, what a director of photography does, how they set up shots, and how they sort of change moods, and how you can get like a script, and from that script decide how this plays out, right? So learning how to interpret the script into something visual. And to me, that's really fascinating, even as an illustrator, because it's all about visual storytelling, right? So how do I take grief and create an illustration around the idea of grief? So there's so much overlap. So even though, of course, my main sort of source of income and my main skill level is in illustration, and then I would say it's graphic design as well, but I'm not as passionate about graphic design as I am drawing and painting and things like that. That is sort of my wheelhouse. But learning about other modes of creativity, I feel like, is fueling more creativity within me. And so it's been really, really interesting and really fun. And so it's real nice. So if you guys are interested in different things, look around your city. You never know what's going on within your own environment, so that you can just go and learn and try new things. Now, you don't have to like fully commit and buy like $1,000 cameras if you're into photography, or, spend a whole bunch of money on pottery supplies and things like that if you're learning pottery, or whatever your thing is. But sometimes just sort of being in an environment with people who are super passionate about the things that they do is enough to inspire you to create in some form or fashion. So it's been real fun and real sort of enlightening to find how much overlap there is. And I guess that kind of goes without saying, because they both are modes of creativity. They, again, are both photography, filmmaking, and illustration, all deal with visual storytelling. And so picking up pieces from what I learned about filmmaking and what I learned about photography, I think helps strengthen me as a designer and also as an illustrator and a fine artist. So it's just been really nice, again, just to kind of get out the house and amongst like-minded people, and not like-minded in the sense that there is no sort of difference in opinion or anything like that, but we shared a common interest, and that was a fascination in film and a fascination in photography as well. So just to kind of be in those environments, I think are really, really invaluable. So your library is a great source of information and resources. So I would highly encourage anyone to just sort of, if you're trying to learn something, start there, right? Usually your library is going to have grants and things like that, where they have classes. I think they got Spanish classes. They have like a workshop where they'll fix small electronics. And so all of these services are available for free, right? And I don't even think you have to be a library member in Memphis in order for you to come to the class. I know they have registrations, but I think that we talked about this a little bit yesterday, where one person was trying to like register for some of the classes, but the registrations were full. Sometimes you just show up, right? You know what I mean? Sometimes you just kind of show up and find your place if it's something that you're truly interested in. So I always like to encourage you guys to just try new things, right? You never really know where that role will take you. And I have been someone who has been like in the middle of a pivot for a really long time, just sort of not knowing what to do to sort of bring myself out of a certain situation, or to sort of correct certain things, or sort of get back to where I would like to be in my career. And so again, finding these types of avenues and just different things right to do and to explore has been a wonderful experience. So yeah, do that. If you guys have a local library now, I was on Threads because I be on Threads a lot. Right, and I come across some of the wildest stories, and Threads is like, I don't know, it's like the cousin group chat. I feel like it's like the cousin group chat. And it's funny because you'll find people who will see the same. I guess a lot of us see the same stories. And so there was a girl on Threads recently who had broken up with her boyfriend, or like was having a real hard time with her boyfriend because she had a library card, and his mind was, he was talking so crazy too. But his logic was, as an adult, you shouldn't have a library card. But that's nonsense, right? Go and take advantage of your resources. If you are the type of person who maybe struggles with reading, for example, right? Go to the library. That's the perfect resource to sort of improve in that arena. There are all kinds of classes, there are all kinds of resources that are available there. They do tax prep at my library, man. I saw they did tax prep. They got all kinds of stuff going on. So, don't sort of let the internet dictate how far you sort of move forward in your own life, because it's not cool to random strangers, you know what I mean? Take advantage of what's around you. And if there isn't anything around you, look, that's when you begin to reach out and sort of look at other places. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it yesterday. I always do. I'm like a fly on the wall, because in the filmmaking, for sure, that was something that I just kind of went to because I was just curious, right? Just kind of curious to know how that went. Now, as someone who also does like the YouTube videos, I saw a lot of overlap. Now, we were talking a lot about cinema, and we were talking a lot about how shows and things like that are film documentaries as well. But even in the space of creating and filming YouTube videos, I saw value in being in that space. So yeah, it's been a week. I'm really, really glad that again, this snow and stuff has lightened up quite a bit. I'm really, really happy that we were able to kind of get out. There was one last week, but they had to cancel it, so they rescheduled it for March. So I'm really excited to see how that goes as well. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, you know what, I like photography, but this filmmaking sound all right. And so that's kind of how it goes. You won't know what you'll be into and what you'll find passion in until you start putting yourself in those different situations for you to learn and grow and to be better and to do better. Just just to expand within yourself, even if you don't know nobody there. Right? Even if you don't know anyone who's interested in that thing that you were curious about, sometimes you have to just kind of step out there and take a leap of faith, for a lack of a better term. Sometimes that's the requirement, and you never know where that road will take you, right? So that was a whole lot of fun. That happened yesterday. And so the way that they had it, our presenter, whose name is Jessica, the way that Jessica had it set up was that, of course, she gave like a presentation. So she went over like a certain number of slides and explained to us the role of a director, the role of different people who make movies and make television shows, from the director to the producer to the director of photography to the lighting and editing and all of that. So she explained all of that, and then she went deeper into it. She explained to us how different shots are made, right? So how they set up the camera for conversational pieces where it may look like a 2-camera setup, but it's actually 1 camera, right? And how they set that up. And then she showed us some clips from, I think, Jaws, Boomerang, No Country for Old Men, and I think there was another one. I think E.T. was on the list, but we didn't get around to E.T. But we looked at those 3 clips, right? And then we dissected the clips, and then we acted them out, which was a whole lot of fun as well. I remember taking acting class one summer in college. I just kind of needed an extra class to take, and I was like, hey, they're doing acting. Right? I was like, let me do this. And so that was a lot of fun. It was a very small class. I think there was 3 of us, maybe 4 in that particular class. And so just kind of going through the motions yesterday in photography club reminded me of that. And it was actually something that she encouraged people who were looking to get into directing and filmmaking do. Actually take acting classes just to kind of know what that job is like. And so when you're going into writing scripts or you're going into creating these visual representations of scripts, you kind of know the language, right? You kind of know what actors do, what they need, and you go through those motions. So it was all super interesting. You know, I'm on cloud nine because I was explaining to my son that for our city, Memphis has a really interesting reputation, and I think it's due in part because it's a largely black city, right? It's just what it is. And so unfortunately, because of that, the crime rate gets highlighted a whole lot more than it would in cities who have similar crime rates but a different demographic. And so it gets a bad reputation of being this like awful place, but there is so much light and there is so much sort of joy in this city. There are so many opportunities. And I'm not from Memphis. I moved to Memphis when I was 20. And so I've been here for a while. But one thing I will say is that when you're looking for the right sorts of things, you're looking for the right environment to be there, it's here, right? So sometimes we kind of get overlooked. And I think that has a lot to do with sort of gentrification and things like that. All of that kind of plays a part, right? So people like Musk can come in and set up XAI or whatever his company is called in South Memphis, and no one blinks an eye because the idea is that they you know, they're not going to fight back, right? And in a lot of ways, people haven't. But in that, there are so many beautiful opportunities and so many beautiful people here in this particular city. And I think going through that, not going through it, but just sort of participating yesterday in photography club and just kind of going these last few months, I think we started in November, has really put a highlight on the good in the city, right? And it gives a voice to people who want to express that good. And I think that's something that our director, she is the resident innovator. Her name is Jessica again. She that is one of her goals, to sort of give voice to the positive, right? Because we see so much negative expressed, and that's not to say negative doesn't exist. It does. It's not like any other. It's not unlike any other like major city. It exists, right? But outside of that, there are so many good things here. I'm here, right? So I enjoy this city so much, and I have definitely been enjoying, again, sort of meeting with people who have similar interests and sort of like-minded views. And I would say, I think I started doing that with the guild when I joined the guild, Graphic Artists Guild, and that was back in 23. It was just really, really interesting to be around other people who were into graphic design. Now, while I was in the guild, right, I kind of had to make peace with the fact that I wasn't as passionate about graphic design as I am about illustration and other sort of modes of creativity. But what I took from that experience with the guild was that just being around other business owners and other sort of entrepreneurs and freelancers and things like that within the same field, and then feeding off of their passion, right, so that I could put that towards my own endeavors and my own sort of interest and purpose and all of that. So anytime I have an opportunity to do that and to sort of be around people who are so passionate about what they do, it just adds fuel to the fire. You know what I mean? It keeps you going, especially on days when you're not really sure if you're doing the right thing, and especially in an environment where you may not know other people who like the same kinds of things, right? You may not have sort of the mirror or sort of the exposure to people who are doing the things that you want to do. And that's something that I brought up yesterday in photography club, just sort of as we were leaving. It was great to be able to see a black woman who was super passionate. She was super passionate about filmmaking, and that made it fun, right? So it wasn't like a boring presentation we were watching and she's just explaining like the dry eyes guy, and it's all monotone. But you could feel how excited she was. And then because everyone there was at a different skill level, most of us were beginners, and we were really genuinely curious about what it was that she was teaching us, and she was really happy to show us and demonstrate how different conventions in filmmaking worked. That just, that feels good, right? So don't be scared to get out there. right? Find yourself a community within your own sort of city, within your own environment that will help sort of move you forward in the things that you want to learn and grow in and create and all of that. And then if you can't find it within your immediate environment, then branch out, right? That's when we go into like the Facebook groups, or like the, you know, you may have to travel or whatever the case is. But yeah, it was a good time. Right? It was a really, really good time. All right, so what I'm doing is I am going just kind of, what is this, a hexagon? I'm going shape by shape, and I'm just kind of putting in the light and shadow. Again, not necessarily concerning myself with it being super perfect and super precise, because this is just one small element on a much larger illustration, but all of it's going to be printed relatively small. So I just needed to read as a vase. I just needed to read as this metallic surface that's kind of catching the light, and just to zoom out to give you an idea of what that looks like. If I were to zoom this out to like actual size, let's see if I can do that. I'm going to try to zoom out so you can see just how small this is going to be. So this, even that's big, right? So the card is going to be about that big, right? So I don't have to put a whole lot of effort into making sure each of the details are like pristine or anything like that, unless I decide later that I want to blow this up and create like a journal or anything like that. That's where me being zoomed in kind of comes into play. But I don't have to be perfect about this. I don't have to be exact or anything like that. I just have to be close enough to read exactly what it is that I want to read. So again, hope y'all had a great week this week. So we're not going to be here super long. I'm gonna probably do a couple more of these, and then I am going to let you go, guys. Enjoy your Sunday afternoon. Again, if you're watching this live or the replay, I really appreciate you for being here. And something that I mentioned last week, one of the ways that you guys can support me outside of the likes and follows is just to mention me in rooms I may not have access to, right? So if you know people who like these kinds of projects, like art videos, like live creation videos, want to be motivated in creating and being an artist, or whatever you feel like other people can get out of my live streams or out of my art, spread the word. That helps me out more than more than I can possibly explain. I know that when I was doing a lot of freelancing, most of my clientele was word of mouth. So word of mouth is definitely a powerful tool. And so if you would like to actually like put some effort in and support me, buddy, that is one of the best ways that you can do that. And I appreciate it so much. Now, hitting the like button helps because, of course, that is a way that you can spread the word without actually spreading the word, because the more likes and subscribers and things like that you get, the further your videos, theoretically anyhow, your videos get pushed out to more people, right? So that helps me out in that arena as well. Other ways you guys can help, again, is to purchase artwork from me, directly from me. That makes a whole lot of difference, makes me feel good and do a little happy dance every time I get an order, and I'm excited to get artwork to you guys so that you can enjoy it. But if, again, I know that for a lot of people times are hard, so they may not be able to purchase art or have things created like that, just spread the word, right? I'm making a tarot deck. Somebody that might be interested in tarot, send them on over. Because they might be able to buy something. You know what I mean? Or they might just be genuinely interested in what we have going on, and that's perfectly okay. So that is one of the ways that you guys can support me for free, or any artist that you know. It's not just me. Any person that you know that has a small business, the way that you can support them, if you're not able to sort of spend money with them, is to just spread the word, tell people about them, help them sort of, get the word out so that more people or like-minded people can find them and enjoy what it is that they offer and the services that they provide. All right. So I've been trying to get over the mental hang up of asking exactly for what it is that I would like to happen in terms of support and things like that. So this is me sort of making the effort to do that, but it does certainly help out a whole lot. And I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Again, I know we've got people that's been with me for a long time watching this project unfold. I still have subscribers from 2013, which is wow, man. I'm real happy to see that you guys are still subscribed and going along for the ride. For those of you who have been with me that long, I know it's real interesting. I know anytime I see someone who has been on YouTube for a long time, just to kind of see how they grow and change and things like that. Because I speak about this a lot. I was so afraid to be on camera, but I still wanted to create process videos because I like watching them, right? So I would create them, and I would create them just for me to watch, and everything else that came from it was collateral. But what I will say is that after a while, it got to a point where it was like, okay, I'm not growing as much as I see other people grow. And then you start to get in your head, and then I started to get burned out and all of that. But anytime I sort of step into just doing it because I enjoy doing it, things tend to work out, right? Same with this tarot deck. Anytime I sort of move away from it in order to sort of chase after other things, just to afford to do it instead of just looking at it like you can afford to do it now, just do it. Things sort of don't go as great as I would like. And then as soon as I sort of refocus my attention back to the thing that I'm really, really passionate about, they work out, right? It's just kind of how it goes. So if you guys could do me that favor and just spread the word, let people know that you enjoy the type of art that I create and that they would enjoy it as well, that helps me out so much. All right, so we're not going to keep it long. This is about the shortest live stream done. It's been about 35 minutes. We're at about 4:23, so we haven't been here super long. But if you're watching this live or the replay again, I really appreciate you guys for being here. Now hopefully next Sunday, by the time we get back, this part will be done, so we'll be working on other aspects of this image. And again, on Wednesday, if you like a little more chill live stream, we'll be back with Bring Your Own Project Live. Now that particular live stream is set up to hold each other accountable. So if there is a project, or if you have a test to study for, or you just need some good music to listen to while you're working and getting things done, that is the stream for you. I will be working on the 5 of Wands, and I'll show you guys really quickly before we leave, because again, we hadn't been here long, so we good to go. But I'll show you really quickly what it is that we did this past Wednesday. So I actually finished the sketch for the, what did I do? 5 of Wands. I want to say the night before, or the morning before, because I was up super late that day and just working on finishing up the sketch. And so when I came back on Wednesday to do the stream, what I did was I did the flats. And so in these flats, my focus was really just kind of coloring in or putting in baseline colors, just like I do with the Cosmic Egg or with any other card that I do, right? Putting in the flats and giving myself an idea of the color palette for this image. Now, as I was choosing colors for everything, the thing that I had in mind was to go along with the color wheel. So I wanted to make sure I had some representation of all of the primary colors as well as the secondary colors. So primary colors being red, blue, and yellow. Secondary colors being orange, green, and purple. So when you mix the primary colors together, they create the secondary colors. So that was sort of my idea here. Now this, I don't know how green this is showing up for you guys, but the green that I have in the background is really going to be like the color of dirt. They're going to be probably going to put the horizon line up pretty high. So a lot of this that we're looking at is going to be dirt or like grass and things like that. I just needed a baseline color to kind of bounce everything off of. So come Wednesday, we'll probably be working on that. The only thing about this sketch or about this that I will probably change is the shoes on my guy with the tunic in the red in the forefront. Right now I kind of have him in what looks like socks. I really don't like that. I don't know if I'm going to have him barefoot like the one next to him. But that is probably the only thing that's kind of bothering me about this right now. Again, anytime I go into doing a illustration, the first thing that I like to do, of course, is to make sure that my sketch is as detailed as I can get it, right? So that I don't have to go in doing guesswork while I'm painting. There are some instances where that works out well, where you can just kind of let yourself be free and just sort of add what you feel like needs to be there. But for me, planning it out as far as I can plan it helps me out tremendously, because I could just paint, right? I don't have to worry about, oh my goodness, what should his shoe shape look like? So I have to kind of go back and tweak that bit of information. But my goal with this particular card, outside of the color wheel, was to make sure I had some representation of people from across the diaspora, right? So I have to represent America. Of course, I got the black cowboy. I have a Himba man who comes from I think Kenya or Nairobi. Nairobi is in Kenya, so I think it is Kenya. have an Ashanti man, have a man who will represent just West Africa in general, and then of course the guy with the locks could be from anywhere from the US down to the Caribbean and into South America and so on and so forth. So he represents a larger majority, right? So I wanted to make sure that there was some representation there and be very deliberate about it. This is the first time I've had more than one male character on a page. Most of the characters in the Cosmic Gateway Tarot are women, right? So are female characters. So just doing that has been very interesting. So I'm really excited for the way that this one is going to shape up. And so we'll be here Wednesday working on that. And that stream starts usually about 12:45. Now, if I have any more technical difficulties as I've had today, just sort of working with my new system, then I'll work that out and we'll get started when we get started. But we will be here on Wednesday. So again, I thank you guys so much. We've only been here 40 minutes. It's been a short minute, right? But I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. If you would like to see more, make sure that you hit the like button and the subscribe button. I'm here every Wednesday and Sunday. And until next time, I hope you guys have a happy, creative, and prosperous week. Peace.